All right, welcome to War Media Bears pregame for Week 12, in which the 3-8 Bears are in the Meadowlands to take on the 6-4 New York Jets. I am Saul Rodriguez, along with my war colleague Joe Tanksley. How you doing, man? How was your Thanksgiving?
I'm doing pretty good, man. Thanksgiving went by pretty well. I just showed up and ate. Didn't really have to do anything. So it was pretty good. And that was pretty much it. I didn't get a chance to, really partake in any of the Black Friday.
Mhm.
But we'll see what happens on the Cyber Monday. So we'll see.
Yeah, yeah. No, I went shopping on Black Friday. It didn't feel like Black Friday. It was different. I
You
don't know
know
why.
what?
Like,
Yeah, I heard a lot of people saying that, across
yeah,
social media and, other friends that I've talked to. It's like, you know, back in the day, like Black Friday was this thing that people would line up, outside
hmm
the stores and
yep.
stampede and get these deals that you just had to have. But you know, maybe it's the inflation.
Yeah. Oh, true, true. That is true. That is true.
Maybe it's the inflation. But it didn't have you know, that same excitement in the
Yeah.
air sitting around that. So we'll see.
Yeah, and speaking of excitement, this matchup most likely won't have the a lot of fans lining up to or to watch this one because it most likely will have a couple of backup quarterbacks since as of right now, as of 10 a.m. Justin Fields, they haven't decided whether he's going to play or not, but most likely he won't play. Multiple reports has come out that it's going to be it's doubtful for him to play, due to his shoulder injury.
Hmm.
Um, but
Well,
with
the team listed him as questionable, but
mhm, mhm,
realistically, you know, he should not be playing. He should
mhm,
not be playing. You mentioned in the pregame that he said in
mhm,
the press conference that the team left it up to him,
mhm.
and this is a decision that should not be left up to a player, uh, especially your future franchise quarterback,
Mhm.
and he's already proven that he can play in this league, and he has the skills necessary to to be successful in this league. But yeah, we shouldn't leave it up to him. We know that he's tough
Yeah.
already. We know that he's tough, and when the chips are you know in a different situation, maybe you're trying to make it to the playoffs. Yeah, you take that risk, but not with this team.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. It just doesn't make any sense for him to play this week. It just just chalk it up as a loss and move on and maybe even shut him down if you have to. Because
Hmm.
talking to some friends that I have in the medical field, I mean, they've already said that if he has a shoulder dislocation, then he most likely has a tear in muscles, which you think he said he admitted actually. Um,
Hmm.
but that most likely requires or it requires surgery, and that could knock him out for the rest of the season. But we'll see what happens. But yeah,
Well,
speaking
you
of
look at the
quarterback,
kid's
oh, go
history.
ahead.
You look at his history. You
Mhm.
know, you know, he finished the game with cracked ribs and a torn hip muscle. So
Yeah,
this is a guy who will go out there and play injured,
yeah,
not hurt, injured.
hmm
It is people in the football world. Coaches always say there's a difference between being hurt and being injured. Justin Fields is
yeah,
injured. He should
yeah,
not be playing.
yeah. It's funny because they asked him about has he ever played injured? I think he said, or like something like that, and he said that in the college football playoff championship, he was playing injured. Like I think he mentioned like I think like two injuries or something. Like that's how bad
Right,
it was.
cracked ribs and the torn hip
Oh,
muscle.
that's what you're talking about. Sorry, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
But I just think it's funny because he was like, yeah, I'd have to be dead
but
not
that
to
was a
play that game.
championship game. That was a
Yeah,
championship game. This is
yeah,
not. It wasn't for nothing.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that's why I'm like, yeah, that compared to a game against the Jets when you're 3-8, nah, it doesn't matter. But speaking of quarterback situations, I really want to get your opinion on the whole Jets fiasco, because of course, you know, um, New York, of course, lost on a last minute punt return by rookie Marcus Jones with the Patriots. The Jets offense only amounted to 77 yards in that 10-3 loss. And the media asked Zach Wilson if he thinks that he let the defense down, and he simply said no. And following the incident, he was benched. He has since expressed his apologies, but what did you think about that whole situation? Because now, they have a backup quarterback, Mike White, for sure starting today.
Well, the thing about it, Zach Wilson, you know, he's really young and he's never really experienced this kind of scrutiny, coming from BYU now being in
Hmm.
New York.
Hmm.
And BYU is a decent, football program, but it's not, really big time football.
Hmm.
Um, where you have to undergo that scrutiny and that criticism, week in and week out. Not like Trevor Lawrence had to, not like Justin Fields had to, not even like Mac Jones had to, being in Alabama. You know, so it was immaturity on his part, um, and not really being thrust in the limelight like that. He doesn't know how to answer questions like that. I'm pretty sure that when he was out there, he was playing his hardest and trying his best to win. So in that situation, he probably doesn't feel like he needs to play, apologize because he played to the fullest of his capability.
Hmm.
It's probably what he's thinking in his head, you know, and so that is something that you know in the pros though, when you're getting paid, you know, that's something that you have to take accountability for. you know, it's a different ball game now, and I chalk it up to immaturity, and not really understanding what the situation was and or is. You have a defense in the Jets that's, one of the tops in the league, a defense that's ready to win, a defense that gives you a chance to win week in and week out,
Hmm.
you know, and you can't come out there and average inches per play in the second
100%.
half. You can't come out there and do that. And um and like I said, he probably played to the best of his capability, but it wasn't good enough. And he needs to recognize that this is a different ball game. It's not BYU, you know. And you're in New York. It's a different ball game right now, and um, you know, and the quarterback is the premier position in the league. Um, and for whatever it's worth, you know, uh, when the quarterback is going to take the brunt of the criticism and is going to get most of the praise. It's the most polarizing position on the field, and he doesn't seem very aware of that.
Yeah, no, and like just the reception he got online is it was wild. Like everybody just going at him after that, from the media to the fans and all that. So it was, yeah. I don't think he knew the can of worms he opened up when he said that. So yeah, we'll see what happens. I mean, on the other side of things, it's been a year since Trevor Simeon's last start. Again, most likely he will play. But in terms of on the field, what do you expect to see from the Northwestern product overall?
Well, there's Trevor Simeon. With all due respect, he's not Justin Fields,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
um, and I'm pretty sure they'll have to keep some of those elements in there, but it's
Mhm.
not going to be as dynamic and relied upon
Yep.
as it was with Justin Fields as far as the QB runs in the reads that Justin Fields was doing. Um, so I expect to see a quick passing game. I expect Trevor Simeon to go out there and get the ball out quickly, which, quite frankly, this might be a good thing for Luke Getsy in order to get those elements worked out with him play calling and seeing what he can do to work with the quick passing game and quick passing game, and then coming
Mhm.
back and inserting Justin into that aspect of the game. And I think what we saw last week, with Justin Fields is, that you can't solely rely upon his legs to generate
Mhm.
offense, and it was working. It was working. Um, you also saw the absence of Khalil Herbert. Maybe it's a little bit different if Khalil Herbert is available and you can lean on him a little bit more. Besides, and just
Mhm.
instead of leaning on Montgomery and Fields to run the ball, but this is something that might be good for Luke Getzey in order to work out those kinks in the passing game, especially the timing of that, quick passing game. I think that's what is missing in this offense. And, teams are going to start game planning to stop the Bears running attack. They're going to start game planning to stop Justin from running the ball. Now it's time to counter. So this is a good practice week, to figure out what you can do to counter.
Yeah, no, and I was gonna say too is that it would have been a perfect opportunity, and just a great situation for Fields if he played this week because, this is a team that
It's
doesn't
still
sack.
questionable, which means it's 50-50.
True. Yeah, that is true. And because the defense of the Jets, they don't sack, like they don't pressure a lot. They have 32 sacks
Mm,
this year. They don't blitz much. So they just I don't know, they just compared to other teams. So I thought it would have been a great, if he does play or if he, it'd be a great opportunity in general. But yeah, I was going to ask you about the running game and just what do you expect from like, David Montgomery with he's going to have more pressure on him now to be the main guy in the running game. He's coming off a 67-yard gain, but
mm-hmm,
yards per carry just hasn't been the same, as past years, and just not like Khalil Herbert because Khalil Herbert obviously has been towards the league leaders, when he's been active. But what do you expect to
mm-hmm.
see from Montgomery and just the running game in general, or do you think there won't be much because of the guys that they don't have?
Well, I think that the running game has to be a little bit different.
Hmm.
It's not going to be as much read. It's going to be a lot more give and a lot more, I would say, a power rushing attack. I expect to see Blasting game a little bit more, leading holes and getting David Montgomery in behind him. A lot of two tight sets to help bolster that running game and just outnumber the defensive line for the Jets to get that power running game and move people off the line of scrimmage. Uh, we've seen David Montgomery, be successful. Um, when I would say the Bears make a uh, more decisive play calls to give him the ball. I think he'll be more successful in that vein. And then, I like seeing the backs in the passing game. He had a great catch last week against the Falcons, where he turned the swing right into a wheel and got down the sideline. He made a great catch, and that's something that that's a very underrated part of David Montgomery's game is, his ability to run routes and catch the ball out in space. And I think that's something that can be utilized a lot more. So I think that's something that we'll see, especially, if you want to use a quick passing game and, the lack of, I won't say the lack of, time and, you know, we have with the receivers. I'll say a lack of talent that we have at the
Hmm.
receiver position. Uh, you know, I didn't want to say lack of talent because we do have Chase Claypool now, but
Hmm.
still, David Montgomery is a guy that you can create a matchup problem with, and I'm surprised that they haven't used it a lot more.
Yeah, no, yeah, that is something expected more, to see more of. But now I think with Fields out, or with Fields most likely out, they will, I don't think we'll see, Claypool as much as we expected him at least this week. But we'll see. I know, again, just following this, as the morning progresses, but Fields he's on the field. Looks like he's running. Looks like he's making some throws. But nothing yet. So I guess we'll see what they say. But hopefully he plays. And like I said, it'll be a great opportunity for him because of the way this defense is, the way they are with the running game and stuff like that. So hopefully he plays. One last thing. I want to get a score prediction from you, regardless of who starts. How do you think things are going to go?
You know what? I think this is going to be a low scoring affair this week.
Mm,
I think, we're talking about an ugly game. You got Mike White going for the Jets, and we don't know who's going for the Bears right now. And the Jets, they do have a monster defense. With Sauce Gardner, and some of the other key players they had on that defensive line. They've been able to dominate opposing offenses. So I expect a low scoring affair. And I think the Jets, have the edge in talent. Like we said last week, the Bears have to play a perfect game in order to win. And we saw that last week against the Falcons. They didn't play a perfect game. They let Cordero Patterson get out and score a touchdown. you know, so and it's and that's the thing. They have to be good on all three phases. Special teams, defense, and offense. And I don't think they can do that against the Jets. I expect the Bears to lose a close one. I'm thinking maybe 21-17, 21-14, somewhere in that range.
Yeah, yeah.
And look, and I'm giving them credit to score touchdowns. Maybe 21-13. They might need that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the way
Yeah.
I see it too. Because again, I mean, I expect him not to play. Trevor Simeon is out there warming up. I mean, hell, Nathan Peterman's also out there, warming up, according to some reporters on Twitter. So, uh, we'll see what happens there. But I'm gonna go with, my score, is because I expect Fields not to play. So I expect it to be 17-10 Jets. I just
Mm-hmm.
think it'll come down to either. I mean, the Jets running game has been weak in general, but I think they might just rely on that, and see what they can do with like James Robinson and company, because they have like a committee there. But we'll see what happens. But like I said, gonna be 17
Well,
10
everybody's
most
been
like.
able to run against the Bears, so why not the Jets?
Exactly. There you go. Yeah. So I think that's what they'll try to expose that, and they know that they don't really need to rely on Mike White to, you know, throw 30, 40 passes. So we'll see. But it's a good place to wrap up for this week's War Media Bears recap. Want to thank Joe Tanksley for joining me, and we'll see you after the game.
Peace.